The origins of the Redskins name. In the heart of 1930s America, a football team took its first steps onto the field as the Boston Braves. But by the next season, they would adopt a name that carried not only a legacy of sport, but a legacy of pain. They became the Washington Redskins, and history was set in motion. The name was embraced by fans, media, and players alike. But the truth, buried beneath roaring crowds and painted faces, was far older and far more painful. Redskin was not a badge of honor. It was a scar, one etched into American history long before the first kickoff. As the franchise flourished in the nation's capital, the image of the native warrior became a proud symbol for many. But for others, those who carried the weight of centuries of erasure and insult, it became a bitter reminder that their voices had long been ignored. The Native American backlash. Through the noise of touchdowns and trophy dreams, there were voices, faint at first, but relentless. Native American activists marched, spoke, and cried out, not just against a name, but against a nation's blindness to its pain. Year after year, they stood in protest outside the gates. They filed legal briefs, raised awareness, and bore the burden of educating a country too in love with its game to hear the truth. Their persistence, however, would not be in vain. A new generation took up the torch, armed with social media, sharper tools, and louder voices. What was once ignored had become impossible to unsee. The battle for dignity had reached the digital age, and it was gaining momentum. Corporate pressure and NFL silence. For the longest time, silence was the NFL's shield. But the year 2020 shattered that quiet. Amid a wave of social upheaval, even billion-dollar brands began to tremble. And when FedEx, the stadium's namesake, spoke, the league had no choice but to listen. What years of protest could not achieve, a whisper from corporate America did. As sponsors turned away and merchandise vanished from shelves, it became clear. Tradition was no match for the force of financial consequence. In a world where power often follows profit, the mighty NFL finally relented. It wasn't a moral reckoning that broke the curse. It was commerce. But the result was the same. The name was no more. The fans who fought to keep the name. For those who grew up bleeding burgundy and gold, the name wasn't just a label. It was a legacy. A bond passed from father to son, mother to daughter. Its removal felt like the theft of a memory. They argued, not with hate, but with heartbreak. To them, the name was a symbol of loyalty, not bigotry. Yet what they saw as heritage, others felt as harm. The truth was more complex than either side would admit. Even after the name vanished from uniforms, the conversation lingered in the stands. It echoed in family rooms, in online forums, in hearts unwilling to let go. Because in America, names carry more than meaning. They carry memory. The rebranding of a giant. In a rare moment of humility, the franchise stepped into the unknown, stripped of identity, cloaked only in time. For 2 long years, they searched, not just for a name, but for redemption. From every corner of the fan base came ideas, each name a reflection of what the future could hold. Yet behind the scenes, the weight of history bore down on every decision, every draft, every syllable. And so they emerged as the Washington Commanders, bold, clean, and controversial still. The name may have changed, but the story, it was only beginning to unfold. A nation reflects what the name change really means. This was never just about sports. It was about reckoning with the stories we tell, the names we elevate, and the voices we so often ignore. Across the leagues, echoes of the Redskins controversy ripple on. For every name change, a deeper question arises. Can a country that built itself on forgetting learn to remember? Though the name has vanished into the archives, its story remains, a mirror held to the soul of a nation still learning what it means to truly listen.